Akron, Ohio, representing Team Popping the Boys, the headline god, Jeremy Lambert, and his co-host, speaking out of Atlanta, Georgia, representing more than one royal family, the king of indie viewing, Stephen Jensen. And this is the Spotlight on Fightful.
Hello, welcome everyone to the Spotlight. Shout out to Big Dick MLJ for the intro, and shout out to Stephen Jensen for the new intro with the music and the graphics and everything. So I got to tell you, Jensen, you DM'd me last night and you're like, I put this new intro together. I was like, all right, cool. Like, let me check it out. The first thing I do when I click on it on the email, the first thing I see is that Bryan Danielson with my face photoshopped. Yeah. So like I click the link and I see that and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be tremendous. So then I watched it. I was like, this is great. And then you sent me the one with the music that we just played. So thank you, buddy. That was great job with that. Great job with that. Much appreciated. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I was just thinking about it the other day. I was like, yeah, I wonder like if there's something I can whip up. I did that on my lunch break yesterday from the shoot job. And then last night I was thinking about it and I was like, it'd probably be better with a little countdown clock because then you give people a second to get into the stream and all that stuff. And then I was like, yeah, the music sounds pretty good. So shout out, the music, did you put it in the description? I haven't looked, but yeah. Okay. So there's like a description below for the music. It's like copyright free music off of YouTube. And we want to make sure to give like the credit to the person who has the music that we used for that. So, the links in the description if you like it. I thought that the song was pretty badass. So I was like, I think this would be perfect for an intro. And yeah, no, I immediately was like, all right, I gotta pick two wrestlers. It's like, all right, well, you're Danielson, I'm Cody. That's pretty easy. And then yeah, just kind of put threw a couple screenshots of some of the interviews we've done at the end. And yeah, so I'm glad you like that. And yeah, we have some different intros and stuff we can like mix in now.
For sure. So I appreciate that, Jensen. Again, shout out to MLJ for doing the introduction work on that. All right, buddy, let's get into it. A lot to talk about, as always. Let's start with
over 1 million fans and a great number in the demo tuned in. And it was a great show, and I think it's been a run of great shows.
First off, before we jump into our AEW spotlights, I will say best wishes to Tony Khan and his mom and his entire family for everything that they've had to go through during the fall. He described it yesterday on the ROH media call, his mom suffering strokes and having heart issues and going to the Mayo Clinic and everything. So best wishes to him and his mom and his family. Can't imagine dealing with that and dealing with everything else he's had to deal with just in AEW in general. I mean, we know what kind of fall season they've had. So on top of the personal stuff, it's been a busy time for Tony Khan. And he talked about it after the All Out stuff. And he just talked about like the human element of everything. And he didn't go into his family stuff at the time, but I thought it was a very like interesting quote and a very like on point quote of like, we oftentimes forget about the human element of a lot of this stuff as we banter and make our jokes about the crazy dumb sport of professional wrestling. But yeah, never lose sight of the human element that we're all going through. So again, best wishes and prayers to Tony and his mom and his family.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to echo that as well. Obviously, I'm a big fan of like what Tony's done with AEW and everything, and I respect the guy a lot. And I know he's going through a lot professionally with all this stuff like with the brawl out and all that stuff, and having to change so many plans with AEW, and obviously on the much more important side was him dealing with his family and I hope everything is okay, going forward. Like you said, it's you, at the end of the day, this is all just pro wrestling. And at the end of the day, it's crazy because we're all pro wrestling fans. So we really all should get along a lot better than we do, in my opinion, kind of across the whole spectrum of wrestling fans. But just keep in mind, if it's a wrestler you don't like or a promoter you don't like or whatever, because of their wrestling stuff, just keep in mind they have stuff going on in their personal life as well that you don't know about. So yeah, obviously I'm thinking of Tony Khan. I hope everything's okay.
Sure. Let's get into it, Jensen. Let's start there with William Regal and everything that was said. So, yeah, we talked about it last week. We broke the news, not Sean Ross Sapp. We broke the news that Regal's contract was up in December, or talent believed that his contract was up in December. Now we've got a lot more context and information on everything, as Tony Khan said on the media call yesterday that. So he said a couple of things. The first thing was that Regal called and it seemed like he had an option and he didn't want AEW to renew the option. He wanted to go be with his son in NXT and go work there, work behind the scenes, do some coaching and everything. And then there were conditions to that where Tony said the word release, and the condition was basically he couldn't be on television for next year. And Tony said he was a little surprised that he didn't seem too happy that Triple H posted that supercuts of the War Games ahead of Survivor Series. The terminology, we can debate that, whether it's an option that they didn't pick up, but there was conditions with that, or whether they let him out of his contract early and there's conditions with the release. Regardless, Regal is gone from AEW at the end of the year. It seems like he's there until the end of the year, and then he'll be heading back to NXT to be with his son, Charlie Dempsey, and do some coaching, and I assume a million other things behind the scenes there. Let's talk about sort of the behind the scenes stuff first, and then we'll get into what we saw last night on Dynamite and how they addressed it on television.
Yeah, so the behind the scenes stuff, it is interesting how it worked out. It seems like it's working out best for everybody, though. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's just the terms that are, I don't even want to say strange. It's just, once again, I guess it's one of those things where, like, if Regal signed a deal and it had to do with, an option, that's kind of the language of it. And that was just a condition of it. It was like, we won't renew you. Like, that's fine. Like, you want to go back to WWE, we're going to let you do that. Like, we don't want any ill will or anything, but like, part of this is like you can't be on TV next year, and that part of it, like, I understand it, I don't understand. Like, I get it from AEW's perspective of like it honestly I think is to protect themselves, like in other situations that are similar like this in the future, where like it's hard to like let Regal do that, and if he pops like right over on right up on WWE TV right away and stuff, and like they make him like a manager for his son or something like that, or whatever they wind up, whatever they would have potentially wound up doing with him on WWE TV. I think that I don't think they would have necessarily had a big problem with Regal himself doing it, because like at the end of the day, when he'd probably be like an authority figure. Like, it's not like he's going over there and wrestling, but I think that's kind of what they're trying to avoid, is like setting that precedent of, okay, like we're gonna do you a favor and let you out of your deal or whatever the release, let go, don't pick up option, however you want to view it, or whatever terms you want to use. But I think they're trying to prevent, once again, is like, there's other wrestlers like Malachi Black and Andrade and stuff who have family members in the WWE, and I could see it potentially being an issue if Regal is able to get out early, go over there, get right on television, and then you have other people. I'm not saying them specifically, but you know what I mean. Just like if anyone else wanted to go back, you don't want to set this precedent of like, we'll let you go and then like let you right on their TV, because then that is kind of bad for AEW's business, in my opinion. Like, if you're, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things where like, and at the end of the day, we're also talking about like honoring contracts and stuff. But I'm also pro wrestler. Like, I want what's best for the wrestlers. And I tend to be a bigger fan of like the wrestlers themselves and the promotions themselves. But like, so anyway, at the end of the day, I understand why AEW would want to do this, like to set the precedent like this. And I think it's pretty fair, to be honest, because like if Regal was able to get out early, whatever the terms are, and he gets to go be with his son, if that's what he really wants, and like he's going to be Triple H's right-hand man in WWE again, and their long history being a tag team in WCW all the way back in the day and stuff, like it makes sense that Regal would want to go back. So anyway, that's kind of how I feel about it. I feel like everyone kind of won in this scenario. But also to the other point, I don't really have a problem with WWE showing Regal doing like War Games, like those promos that they showed, because I mean, they're allowed to do, like, they could have done that the whole time if they really wanted to. You know what I mean? Like, they have the rights to that even when Regal's in AEW, right? Like, they can air
Right.
Regal and WWE as much as they want. They own that. So it's you know what I mean? I feel like at the end of the day, everyone kind of won in this scenario. So I'm pretty okay with everything.
The supercut thing was, I think Tony was more upset at like the timing of it because people kind of had been speculating that Regal was leaving and everything. But yeah, it's just everyone wanted the Regal War Games thing. Triple H is like, here's an easy pop. And so he just did it on his Twitter. And then I get why Tony, he said he was a little surprised and everything. I just don't think he liked that you're basically just saying, hey, we got Regal back and everything. I don't think he liked that. I mean, Tony said it yesterday in the media calls, like he can't facilitate every single family reunion. You mentioned Malachi Black and Andrade. There's been the reports that they had won it out. Malachi confirmed he had asked for his release and, didn't get it. Obviously, he's back on television. Andrade, we've heard all the different reports and speculation with him wanting out. And we know Charlotte's over there with Andrade, Zelina Vega's over there with Malachi. I would imagine like these guys are under more long-term contracts. I think Tony had previously said Malachi was under like a 5-year deal.
Yeah.
So if you do like a conditional release, obviously they don't want, we'll release you and then and then they're showing up on television a week later. And that's clearly what happened here with Regal is we don't want you showing up on television. Regal is in a different position than Malachi or Andrade, where they kind of probably want to be on television than just, okay, I'll sit at home for a year and then collect, I guess, whatever money I'm going to collect. And before I can work again, like I'm sure it doesn't seem like they really want that. Regal is like, sure, I don't need to be on TV. Like my main point is I want to spend time with my son and I can still do all the behind the scenes stuff, which I think is where the value is with William Regal, the coaching, the producing, the scouting, things like that. Malachi and Andrade don't bring that same value behind the scenes. They are best as television performers. So I can see why if Tony offered that, you can have your release conditional, like the condition is you can't appear on WWE TV for a year, they're probably like, well, all right, I guess then I will stick here and let's see how this all goes for however long we're here for. I think it's good for Regal. It's something he clearly wanted. Again, the option stuff, I think I made I jumped the gun on a tweet with the option things because I didn't get the wording completely. And when I think of option, I think of sports. You have a team option, a player option in the NBA. A player option means, I'll pick this up. Let's renew the contract for a year. A team option means the team can pick it up and renew it for a year. And by the way it was originally worded, it sounded like AEW had a team option and they were going to pick it up and Regal didn't want them to. And so Tony could have been a dick and been like, well, I don't care what you want. I'm going to pick it up. Or he would not pick it up, which would make Regal an outright free agent, which means there would be no conditions, but instead they attach conditions to it. I feel like but then Tony used the word release later on. I feel like it's more of a conditional type of release. I will contracts, especially wrestling contracts, very weird, very, very much maneuvering that you can do with a lot of that stuff. Regardless, Regal headed back to WWE to be with his son, to do some scouting, work behind the scenes, do all that fun stuff. And then we'll see what happens from there with Regal on screen, the way they addressed it. So I said last week after the promo, I didn't like the way they addressed it because I didn't think Regal gave enough insight as to why he actually turned on Moxley and helped MJF. They basically tried to retroactively do things. Regal did if you see this, I am dead video that was recorded 2 weeks ago. And he's dead on AEW television after MJF knocked him out. And he just said, I've taught my lessons. Now the three main members, Brian, Moxley, and Claudio, can teach Yuta their lessons. MJF, I gave him what he wanted. I have eyes in the back of my head. They tried with this thing. And I didn't feel it worked that well. And then Moxley just completely ignored it and was like, yeah, sure, whatever. We're about to beat the shit out of Jericho Appreciation Society on Saturday. I'm going to beat the shit out of somebody on Friday. It was an attempt. Regal is going back to his home planet, to use the Simpsons reference.
Yeah, it's it's funny because it's like this was filmed 2 weeks ago. Like they kept saying like make sure you remember what you're seeing is 2 weeks ago. It definitely wasn't recorded like for sure 2 weeks ago. Like you got this only makes sense 2 weeks ago, and yeah, it was like I'm with you. You know, I get the explanation. I get what they were trying to do. I appreciate the attempt to at least try to explain and tie up loose ends and stuff like that. But it did come across. It was kind of weird. Like I don't think it hit how they were expecting it to. I think Twitter seemed pretty confused too. I was like looking at like my timeline and people were like, that was kind of a weird way to explain things. Like, I mean, like we kind of assumed kind of that's what was going on for the most part, but the way he explained it and the way that it's like we're just now seeing the promo and like it like you said, it was like if you're seeing this, I'm already dead type message, and it's just like once again, I appreciate the effort. Like I'm not knocking that they tried to explain it, so like I do like that they attempted that, but I also think it's kind of a lame explanation, unfortunately, because it's like really like that's so to teach them a lesson. You gave MJF brass knuckles and let him beat Jon Moxley for the world championship, and then like to prove your point, to put a real exclamation point on it, like you let MJF brass knuckles and kill you essentially off of, I mean, for all intents and purposes, you're dead in the world of AEW. Like just because you thought that Moxley, Danielson, and Claudio were ready to teach Yuta on their own, like you could have just. And then it was like I appreciate the effort because they even explained he was like I couldn't just leave. I know that they would never just let me go, so I had to do something to like get rid of them basically. And it's like okay, but at the same time, like you think, and then the cherry on top is exactly what you just mentioned, because after this, you're expecting Moxley to be like, all right, Regal, like I get it now. All right, like, all right, you got me. Like Blackpool Combat Club for life. We'll see you down the road, man. Like I get the less. Instead, he just did what you said. He grabbed the microphone. He was like, yeah, I don't know about all that, but so at Ring of Honor Final Battle, like they're gonna be doing their thing. I'm doing my thing on Rampage. You're just like, you did just kind of ignore the whole thing. Like what just happened? So yeah, no, I'm with you. Not the best, not the best way that it could have been done, but like once again, I do appreciate them trying to. I do appreciate them trying to the brutal titties in the chat says I appreciate the effort, but convoluted AF. That's a pretty good way of putting it.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, Moxley dismissing it immediately is like, what are we doing here? And I hope they get Blackpool Combat.
Sorry, I think Jeremy's having some internet issues. You might be frozen on your screen. I'm just gonna read the chat here for a second. So there's people talking about Rock and Roman. We'll definitely get to that. People are calling. Someone said that Jeremy's a bot. He got frozen by Regal. Yeah, William Regal might have. They might have done something about this. Him or maybe someone with AEW pulled the plug on this. Like, we figured they'd like the storyline better. And the thing is, I do like the storyline. Like, I think that the way that like the way things have ended up worked out great. Like the end game of it worked out great. Whoa, that's weird. Your connection looks better now.
Okay, good. Yes, I've a terrible Wi-Fi issues. StreamYard has been just a pain in the ass. Hopefully it holds up. I switched over some things.
You cut out pretty much just right after saying that you agreed about like about the Moxley just kind of ignoring it.
Yeah. So he just ignored it. But my main thing is like I hope they get Blackpool Combat Club back on track, because like when they first started, it seemed like they were going to just be this group of like, hey, let's have a group of young boys and teach them the ropes and everything. And then Claudio came in, and I understand that was very circumstantial, and they added him to the group. And it's sort of like they've been feuding with Jericho Appreciation Society for like 8 months now. But it sort of lost the plot along the way. We had the stuff where Danielson was trying to recruit Garcia, which wasn't bad. And then Yuta was upset about that. I thought that was going to lead somewhere with Yuta and Danielson. I hope they revisit that at some point, because I think there's a story there to be told. Moxley is like, I feel, doing his best to try to get things on track. I don't like that they just completely ignored like Regal's whole stuff. I wish and Regal mentioned this in his promo, I wish they had leaned more into like, MJF wanted this responsibility. He thinks this is what he wants. Now the target's on him. Can he handle that? Like, it was almost a throwaway line by Regal when he said, I wish they had talked about that a little bit more, because on Regal's podcast, he went into that like a lot. He was doing a great job, like kayfabing that of, yeah, like this is what he thinks he wants. Like he's bitching about an email. Just imagine when everybody's coming after him because he's the champion. How's he going to deal with that kind of pressure? And Ricky mentioned that in the promo as well. I thought Ricky actually did a better job explaining that than anybody. But I wish Regal had kind of said that a little bit. It's like I gave him more on that of like, now he's got this. Let's see what sort of happens. But it was very much they should have just killed him. Impact just kills people all the time. They killed Eric Young last week. Like, They should have just, after the brass knucks, that was it. He's dead. Just murder people on your television show. It's wrestling. Who cares? Again, Impact does it. Impact gets away with it every single, I feel like, year. Impact just kills somebody.
Yeah,
we need more murders in wrestling. Yeah, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, we had murder mysteries and everything in Impact Wrestling.
So Regal's gone. We'll see what happens with Blackpool Combat Club. We know what's going to happen with MJF, and that's he's going to be facing Ricky Starks next week for the Dynamite Diamond Ring for the AEW World Title. Ricky won the Battle Royal to earn the shot at MJF and the Diamond Ring, so it's a winner-take-all match. But the promos that these two men cut after the match, MJF buried Texas, buried Ricky for being the Rock ripoff, called him the Pebble. He's going to skip the Pebble back to Billy Corgan's NWA, which I thought was great.
That's a great line.
Very good line by MJF. And then Ricky got on the mic and he just ran down MJF for his shitty clothing, saying he's going to take the responsibility away from him. He's going to defeat him. Like, he had to work hard for everything he had to do, and now he's here. He's going to take the title. I thought, I'm not doing this promo by Ricky justice at all. I apologize to Ricky Starks, but great promo by Ricky Starks. Tremendous, amazing fire in this promo. Ricky made himself, I thought, like an absolute star. I've always thought highly of Ricky, but even more so now. And he made himself even more with this one promo. And I'm excited for this match next week. They should strap up Ricky Starks.
Yeah, like, honestly, if it wasn't for like MJF just starting his title run, I would actually agree with that. Like, I know you're just like saying that because I don't know if but it's like, but like Ricky Starks put himself into a whole nother league last night. Like, he really leveled up, in my opinion. NXT level up. That's a whole other different thing. No, like Ricky, like really like leveled up, like for real. Like, that was, he needed that. Cause like, obviously he's very, very good. He's great in the ring. He's great on the microphone, great looking guy. The fans are behind him. They like the entrance and the move set and like everything he does. Like, and he's been really being prepared like over the years, ever since coming into AEW in that open challenge for the TNT title against Cody. Like, it feels like ever since that first day he was in the company, there's always been really big plans for him. It's just been like a slow build, but like he always had something important to do. Like, and I always noticed that, whether it was like the FTW title or like whatever he had going on, it was like there was always something for Ricky Starks going on. And you can tell they're just buying time until the moment was right. And now the moment's right to like really go with him. And they did a great job with the tournament. Now he's him winning the Battle Royal last night, I think is really smart too. It like really makes him look really good and really credible, and like now he can win the ring and the title belt off MJF all at one time. That said, I am predicting MJF retains, but like, it's one of those things where before last night, and once again, I'm a Ricky Starks fan. I do remember him back in the NWA and stuff. Like, you know, he was, he's been talented for a long time. He's been wrestling for like, I mean, maybe what, like 15 years or something. He's been around for a long time.
He's been around for a while, yeah.
So like I'm pulling for the guy, absolutely. I'm absolutely pulling for absolute Ricky Starks. But it, you know, once again, it's just like, if this was like a different title run, like let's say there's a scenario where like maybe Hangman Page has had the title this whole time, like MJF never, or CM Punk never got the title, Mox never hot potatoed it back and forth, and like Hangman was just the champion this whole time, and MJF never won the belt. Like if we were talking about something like that, I'd be like, yeah, Ricky Starks, like do it. You know what I mean? Like, but it's just the timing isn't good because MJF just got the title. Now that said, I've talked about this for months here on the show about how I thought it was going to be so important when MJF won the AEW World Championship for this exact reason. Because I was like, he's going to be feuding, I think, with guys that haven't had these opportunities before, but he has like history with. So like it makes sense for a Ricky Starks, an Ethan Page, a Jungle Boy, a Darby Allin, like these kind of guys to be elevated into the world title mix with him, with MJF being the champion. And Ricky is like the first great example of that. And also a great example of someone really getting elevated and elevating himself. Like that's, you know, obviously it's on AEW for giving him the platform and the push to get leveled up like this. But then it's on him even more to execute. And last night, like what was so cool about that promo was MJF started off, and he was very strong in everything he said, just like he always is. You think by the time he's done talking, you're like, damn, feel kind of bad for Ricky, just kind of having to stand out there and take it. But I mean, everyone does, because like no one can really clap back at MJF really and like really make a, you know, he's always going to outdo you on the microphone. It doesn't matter who you are. And then Ricky Starks grabs the mic, and you tweeted it. He cooks him. And we're just like, whoa, Ricky like out-talked MJF. Like this is huge. And MJF is the first time I think we've ever seen it in AEW where he was just speechless. He had nothing left to say, and he just had to sit there and take it. And then he kicked him in the nuts, because that's exactly what you would expect him to do, you know? And then Ricky hits this great spear where he like slow motion in midair for that thing, you know? And it's like, dude, people are pumped up. Ricky Starks is super over. It being in Austin was genius that they did it there, because the crowd was mega hot for him. So like, yeah, I thought, congratulations to Ricky Starks. Like you just got yourself to another, you know, echelon on that AEW totem pole, and like, and he will deliver against MJF. Like once again, I think MJF will retain the title, but he's going to do great. And now you have another just bona fide main event level guy on your roster. It's huge.
I like that Ricky didn't really address the Rock stuff, because I've listened to many Ricky Starks interviews, and every single one of them is like, you remind me of the Rock.
Yep.
Like, and it's like, I don't know if he is, you know, if he's tired of hearing it or if he's flattered by the comparison, but it's like, he's heard it so many times. MJF had a decent little take of like the Pebble skipping him back to NWA. Like that was funny.
That was a really good line. It really was.
Yes. Yeah. But like the Rock stuff has just been said so many times and heard by Ricky so many times that like, what else can you like really say? It's like, wow, you're comparing me to the biggest star in Hollywood. This is supposed to be like a bad thing here. Right. I love the low hanging fruit is out of Juice line. I thought that was great by Ricky. Yeah, he had so many good lines. A couple things. The first one is, we expect Ricky to lose next week. MJF, I don't think they're going to end the reign this quickly. Whatever they do with Ricky after this, I hope it is still more forward momentum. I don't need him off television for 3 weeks or month or whatever as you try to figure something out. Like, keep the man on television. Get him a new story. Whatever that is, make sure you have something lined up for him right after this program. Yeah, I don't know what that, maybe it's a program with Samoa Joe or something. Like I guess he's feuding with Wardlow and everything. I don't know if I wouldn't put him in ROH or anything like that, but whatever it is, maybe it's Guevara. Whatever whatever you have in mind, make sure. Oh, the smack the mole off your neckline, that was so fucking good. I love
really
that.
Good. These are all things that MJF can't come back. Like there's no comeback for that. You know what I mean? Like that's why it's so smart that Ricky. Because the funny thing is, Ricky said the low hanging fruit is dried out for you, but Ricky's using a lot of low hanging fruit in his promo, but it's because nobody has been able to say these things to MJF's face. That's why it works so well. Like Ricky could mention the most obvious things about MJF, but to MJF, this is all new to him because he's like, what? You don't like my haircut? You don't like my scarf? You don't like my shoes? You're making fun of my mole? Like, wait a second here. I'm the one who's supposed to be making fun of you. Like, and these are all things I can't even like argue. You know what I mean? So it's like, yes, I agree. Very smart line. The whole thing was genius by both guys. And that whole segment was brilliant in my opinion.
He said he's gonna stomp an asshole into him.
Yeah, he did.
But regardless, after we assume Ricky loses next week, make sure you just got a program for this guy lined up and he's just not floating around just having matches or anything like that. The second point, I don't like how they did the Dynamite Diamond Ring this year. It felt like it should just be like an annual thing. And okay, MJF has won it 3 straight years. He's a 3-time champion. Cool. Now it's this year. It's like, well, you got to beat MJF to win. It's like, this guy's the overall world champion. Like, just crown a new winner. Have somebody else like have this accolade. And MJF, it's like, all right, I've won it 3 times. Now I'm the world champion. Sure, somebody else can win this thing. Go for it. Like and he could say like the only reason I didn't win it this year is because like I decided not to compete in it. I already got the triple B, baby. Like, what do I need another ring for? Like, I'm good. I don't need it. And then if he loses the title, if he's not the champion next year, he can come back and he can win it again. He can beat the person who won it this year. He could beat Ricky next year, something like that. Like, I don't, because now it's just, all right, MJF's just gonna be a 4-time champion and let's throw that on there with, I felt like you could have made somebody else with this diamond ring. And now like it's not going to happen. MJF is just going to keep the ring.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And have they ever, because I honestly haven't paid attention to this. And I'm only thinking about it because obviously our boy Diamond Sheik, like he made that ring. Have they mentioned that on television that it's a different ring each year, I think they treat it like it's all just like one. Because the only reason I bring that up is because MJF could easily be like, because the argument against what you said would be like, why would he want to just give up a ring that's worth, $200,000 or whatever? But it's like, well, if he keeps the ring because they make a new one every year, then like he wouldn't care. You know what I mean? Because he already has the ring.
Right. Like, and that's what I actually think they should have played more into, because they treat it's an annual thing. They kind of treat it like it's a new thing. It's not like, in the previous years, MJF had to compete in the Battle Royal and was one of the final people and everything. And then they did the one-on-one match type of thing. And this year he just didn't have to compete. And then, so whoever won the Battle Royal won it. So they've treated it as a new thing, but you're right in that, like, it's always just been one ring. Like, they should have had MJF just come out with 3 rings and be like, look, got all these rings, baby. Like, who say something? Like, that's what they should have done with it. But they hadn't really established that enough to where maybe people would, people like to complain about, I'm confused, I don't get it. We need a video package to explain all of this type of thing. And they honestly should have like a video package of like the past winners and everything, like a big one shining moment like they do in college basketball of all the past before they crown a new winner. Definitely should do that. But yeah, and maybe that is the explanation, is like, it's one ring. Why would he want to give that up? And I guess that's what they're going with. In personal preference, don't really like it. I wish they would and better establish it's an annual thing. It's a new ring. When they do the graphic, it's like 3 banners, like MJF 19, 20, 21, like they do the banners and stuff. So I think they should have played more into annual thing. You get a new ring every year, and they just haven't.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think that's like, we look at it that way because once again, like, we've interviewed Sheik a few times and stuff, and like we've talked about this ring. So like, I'm with you. Like, if they would it would be a very easy fix. They just established that the winner gets a new ring every year. Then like that totally takes MJF. It takes kind of like the burden, because on one hand, it's like, it's a great part of his character. That diamond ring has like been very important to the MJF character in AEW, but he's a world champion now. Like, and if they're going to use that diamond, like, Ricky Starks winning the Diamond Ring would have been huge for him. I feel like just like to have it for the next year, just to add to storylines and stuff. So yeah, I mean, but then at the same time, the only knock on that, it's not really even a knock, but it's like, how many times are you going to give Ricky Starks, like, you give him the Diamond Ring and the FTW title and that kind of stuff before it's like, he really should be, like, you bringing up Samoa Joe, I thought of that as well. Like, if he beat Samoa Joe for the TNT title, that could be good. You know, there are things you can do with Ricky, but, or like you said, you have to put him in, like, a big feud with, and he really needs to win his next big feud too. So, like, you know, you got to be careful about that also. I feel like if he's going to lose to MJF, I feel like his next big feud needs to be someone the caliber of like a Hangman or a Mox or like Samoa Joe or something like that, where like, and he has to win that one. So like, to keep him up on like that main event status in AEW. So, but this is a great spot to be if you're Ricky Starks. Like he absolutely 100% is like, I don't think you could ask one wrestling fan who watches AEW between last night and before last night if they view Ricky Starks at a different level. Like he absolutely has gotten up to like that main event status, and a lot of it had to do with that back and forth last night with MJF.
He's going to end up feuding with Jericho for the entirety of 2023.
That'd be a great feud, though. I know you're joking about the length of the feud because that's the Jericho thing.
I'm not joking about that part.
Well, no, I'm going to say, well, I shouldn't say joking, but like I get that. Listen, Jericho's the GOAT. I love him, but like, yeah, there have been stories that have dragged out too long in AEW involving him. But him and Ricky, like a 3-month pay-per-view program or something would be great.
It would be a good little pay-per-view program. Do not extend it to where it goes for 12 months, because that's every single Chris Jericho feud. All right, let's move on to the dollar store Ricky Starks.
Want to be a professional wrestler, or do you want to be a WWE superstar? You know, WWE superstar sounds a whole lot better to me than being a professional wrestler.
Big rumors, Stephen Jensen, that The Rock has been talked about as appearing in the Royal Rumble as a surprise number 30. I want to make it very clear that it has just been an idea that has been discussed. I'm sure WWE would love to have him in the Royal Rumble. They would have loved to have him at Survivor Series last year instead of a golden egg. They'd love to have The Rock anytime they could get him. Nothing has been official. Who knows if it'll happen? They've teased the idea of Rock and Roman for about 2 years now. I feel like basically ever since Roman has become tribal chief, head of the table, they've teased the idea of Rock and Roman at WrestleMania. We don't know if nothing's been made official. That's for sure. We don't know if there's anything concrete there, but let's have a little fun with it. The Rock Royal Rumble. I mean, if he shows up, he's got to win, right? You're not going to have The Rock lose the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. I mean, that's obviously I get very nervous about these things. I'm still feeling like it's like 90% that Cody's going to win. Like I'm still like pretty much a foregone conclusion he's winning the Royal Rumble. But like if The Rock's in it, then yeah, like you have to assume he's going to win the Rumble. Like he's probably
Cody not going to shoot on him. Cody should just eliminate him regardless.
It's going to business for himself. There you go. I like it. It would be badass though to see like a back and forth between those two though. Even if it was like, you know, Cody's in there he's made his return, The Rock returns, and like they're the last two. Like that's like comes down to the two of them, and like The Rock's not eliminate Cody, or like even better, obviously for me, if like Cody, you know, if he eliminated The Rock, what better way to like kick off his road to WrestleMania? You eliminated The Rock, and like now you're going to be taking on Roman at Mania for the title. Like that'd be pretty huge for him. But I don't know, man. I mean, obviously, if they have access to The Rock, they're going to use him. Like he's the biggest star in the world. Like you obviously you have to, but like I hope that they don't like change potential plans for Cody winning the title just because they're like, well, we got The Rock and he'll do the Rumble for 5 minutes, and he'll do one WrestleMania match, and then we got to figure out what to do with the belt and everything afterwards. Because like, well, I shouldn't say the belt because I don't think he'll beat Roman, but the point is like to put Rock in that position, you're like really, but they've done it before. Like, I mean, 10 years ago, they did it to CM Punk, the 434-day title run. Like, The Rock came in and beat him, and it's like, damn, really? And like, you know, I don't think that was the best look for the WWE. I get you got The Rock and Cena, but like, you could have done that without the title, you know. So I don't know.
You're gonna love my idea, Jensen.
Okay, go ahead. I want to hear this.
I got 2 ideas actually. You're gonna really love the second one. The first one,
oh god.
The first one I don't even really like. First one. So you do. I love the idea of Cody and The Rock face to face in the Rumble, big exchange and everything. And here's how you book it, Jensen. It's the old lovable finish of all 4 feet hit the floor at the same time, right? So then who's the winner? Who knows? Who really cares? Actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I've got 2 great ideas, and I love both of them. I didn't like my first one at first. Now I love both of them. Night 1, here was my original idea. Night 1, you get Roman Rock, and Roman beats Rock. Night 2, you get Cody and Roman, and then Cody wins. Okay, I don't think Roman is wrestling 2 nights, so that's the issue there. All right, now Jensen, you ready for this? 2 ideas. Night 1. Cody against The Rock. Cody defeats The Rock. Night 2, Cody and Roman. Cody defeats Roman. You lose out on Rock Roman. That match ain't that big anyway. Here's my other idea. Instead of, having 2 nights where Cody main events, which is great. I mean, I know you love 2 nights of Cody main eventing.
Absolutely.
But let me throw this one at you, Jensen. Triple threat match. Night 2. Cody Rhodes, stack them, smash them, pin them, pins both Roman and The Rock to win the title. You love both those ideas, don't you, Jensen?
Oh, absolutely. I can just see like a double crossroads. Like he does it to both of them at one time. So here's the thing. Obviously, my best scenario ends with Cody beating Roman for the title. The scary thing about all this is like, obviously, if they have access to to The Rock, it's going to be The Rock versus Roman, 100%. Like that's what they're going to do. But the thing is, you don't need the Royal Rumble to tell that story at all. The story has been told for 2 years with Roman being the head of the table. It's so easy for The Rock to come in and be like, "All right, the real head of the table is here." Like, all right, and then you have a whole story arc of like, are the Usos and Solo, and like, are they loyal to The Rock or are they loyal to Roman? Because like that's a super interesting story in itself of like them being like, listen, Us, like talking to Roman, like we've been listening to you and we back you and we you're our tribal chief, but like the real chief's here now. You know what I mean? Like we're like Dwayne's been raising us our whole lives. Like we're listening to him. So it's like I think, or they all just stick with Roman, and then you have a potential for my mega dream scenario, which is so I don't think they do this at WrestleMania, but like let's say they have they got Solo Sikoa, the Usos, Roman Reigns, and I guess Sami Zayn is that's it, right? That's the whole bloodline.
Yeah.
Let's assume Sami Zayn's still there. Like he probably won't be much longer, I would assume. But like, let's say there's 5 people, even if it's just 4. This still works pretty much the same way. Okay, so you have the bloodline on one side, and let's say you want to do something for The Rock, where it's like maybe he doesn't want to do a singles match, and it's like once again, this probably wouldn't work necessarily at WrestleMania because like you'd have to do him and Roman, but there's a cool idea for like a potential match and story where like you have the bloodline on one side, and then you have The Rock teaming up with Jake and Logan Paul and just breaking the internet. You know what I mean? Like because they have the feud with the bloodline already built in. The Paul brothers already are feuding with the bloodline. So it's like you have the Paul brothers and The Rock on one side and Cody. You like just stack that up. And if you need a 5th, you call up part-time Stone Cold Steve Austin, and you've got the bloodline versus just like this mega team of like superstar, all-star celebrities, and just break the internet one night for the WWE. So there you go. That's my out of the box. Your type of some of your scenarios that you just kind of I'll lay out a crazy one too. So there you go.
My God, The Rock and the Paul brothers and Steve Austin. That would be
and Cody.
and Cody. That way, get Bad Bunny in there. Take out Jake and throw in Bad Bunny.
I mean, you can get rid of like Cody and Austin or whatever, and you just do like straight up celebrities and throw in like
Vin Diesel. Rock's got to call it Vin Diesel to patch things up.
No,
the fast reunion that we've all wanted. That's
Pat McAfee though. Pat McAfee's very good.
Yes.
But yeah, no, yeah. So anyway,
that's War Games next year.
Yes,
that's War Games next year. Rock inside War Games with Austin and everybody.
I love it. So yeah, we'll throw out some crazy scenarios here on the spotlight. But
I think if they have Rock for the Rumble, he's probably going to win it. See, I'm with you. I don't need The Rock winning the Rumble. I don't think that program needs the title at all. But I don't think you're beating Roman before WrestleMania to lose the title or anything like that either. So if Rock is involved, the title's probably going to be involved. I don't know if it like kills a Cody scenario of winning the title at WrestleMania, but it seems like it could at least delay it of like, hey, he might not win the title until SummerSlam. I still think Cody's the end game here, depending on what you have with The Rock. It's just, is it going to be Mania where he gets his moment, or is it going to be later down the line where he gets the moment? Because they're not gonna take Rock off Mania if they have him for Mania. And they've been building the Roman storyline for too long. And I think the title will still be involved with that, even if it doesn't need to be. So we'll see. We'll even see if The Rock shows up. We've been hearing this guy's going to show up for years and years and years. And then he's got to make Black Adam and for the fans and everything like that and go make all of his other movies. So we don't even know if The Rock's going to show up. Again, just discussed. Brian Gewirtz had a great tweet of like, do you know like how much shit has been like discussed in WWE? Like they were gonna have Low-Ki as Undertaker's secret son. That was something they discussed backstage.
I never heard that.
Oh, have you not heard? Oh, Gewirtz tweeted this.
Yes. Oh my god! Wait, Low-Ki, like Cabal Low-Ki.
Yes, Cabal.
Oh my god!
Yes. They was gonna be Undertaker's secret son. That was something they talked about.
In what year?
Cabal wasn't there that long, so.
Oh, you're talking about while he was like while he was signed there.
Yeah,
this is like a Christopher Daniels type scenario where it's like he wasn't even in the WWE and they're like, he's gonna be the higher power. It's like, wait, what? Yeah. Wait, so when he was Cabal, is he that? What?
It's been a while. Hold on.
No, it's been a while. And I remember the whole like Michelle McCool late cool thing they did with him. It was very strange, but like he's not that like is he even young enough to be his son?
2008 to 2010. Low-Ki is 43. The Undertaker, that's when Low-Ki was in WWE, 2008, 2010. So Low-Ki's 43. The Undertaker is 57. So Undertaker was fucking early. Is basically what it comes down to.
That might be the worst idea I've ever heard. I shouldn't say. I mean, we got Jason Jordan as Kurt Angle's son and stuff though too. I mean, like there's you never know. But yeah, I have never heard that. You've broken my mind with that one. I've never heard that that's hilarious that they were going to make Low-Ki. They floated the idea of making Low-Ki Undertaker's son. Wow.
Yes. So they discuss a lot of things in WWE. I wish some of this shit would see the light of day.
Yes.
Imagine like the stuff we've seen over the years. Like that is obviously seen the light of day. Imagine what is like actually talked about behind the scenes that just never makes television.
Oh.
Just some terrible shit, I'm sure, but I would actually watch a lot of that because I love terrible wrestling. All right, my WWE spotlight is New Day coming to NXT to challenge for the NXT Tag Team Championships to try to be the second team to get all the gold. FTR has done it, formerly the Revival. They've done it. They've gotten all the gold in WWE. Now New Day going for it. They've been Raw. They've been SmackDown Tag Team Champions, going for the NXT Tag Team titles against Pretty Deadly at Deadline. Think they do it? You think they put the titles on New Day?
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna lose on NXT. Like, I mean, they might eventually lose, like to put over someone like for the titles, like a little later on. But I don't see them coming in doing NXT Takeover and losing. They're just too. I mean, and rightfully so. They're too big of stars and too big of a deal, I think, to the company to come into NXT and lose to Pretty Deadly. Like, I like Pretty Deadly. I like them in NXT UK as well. Like, I've, no issue with them at all, like being the champs. But I watched that segment from NXT, and like, there's a clear difference. Like, when New Day's music hit, that place went unglued, and it's like they're not going to be losing at Takeover. I don't think so. I'm gonna go with them, and yeah, I think it's going to really help another tag team later on who eventually beats them. And it also gives the New Day something important to do, because they're kind of lost in the mix, like, not being able to like really beat the Usos right now, and like the Usos have other stuff they gotta take care of, like bloodline wise and heading into WrestleMania and stuff. So like, I think it's actually really smart to give the New Day something to do. Put the NXT tag team titles on them, let them have good matches, let them stay super over. The NXT audience is gonna love it, and it gives them something different to do, something important to do, and eventually they can put over another tag team to like really, really help out. So that's what I would do, at least.
I think New Day wins. I'm with you. Why bring them and then have them lose? Like, they haven't looked great on television lately. It feels like they've lost a lot, and I wish New Day would. I wish they'd always be prominent. I think the world of Woods and Kofi and Big E as performers and talent. So I think I always think they deserve more. Having NXT hopefully pop the rating. It didn't really work too much this past week, but surprise appearance this past week. Pop a number, have them put over another team in NXT, whoever that might be. Maybe they even lose a rematch to Pretty Deadly, and Pretty Deadly can get the win back, whatever it might be. But as something fun, another accolade for New Day. I'm fine with New Day just stacking accolades and things like that as well. It was a cool little surprise, because when you think of NXT, they a lot of times they'll bring back guys who you associate with NXT, right? They don't. Dolph Ziggler, I guess, was the most random one earlier this year. It's like, you don't think of Dolph Ziggler as NXT, but with under the Triple H era, it's like, okay, yeah, of course, like Apollo Crews would come back. Like we think of him as NXT. Back in the day, Tyler Breeze, yeah, sure, that makes sense. New Day they certainly weren't an NXT act. Kofi was never there. Woods was there very briefly, but New Day as a group were not in NXT. Big E had a big role. But New Day as a group, not part of like NXT at all. So it was a nice little surprise that they were there. And you're right that like big difference between Pretty Deadly, who I think have been doing good work in NXT, compared to New Day, just in terms of presence and overall capability. New Day is great. Put the titles on them. I'm all for it. I think it'd be the smart move, honestly.
Yeah,
it'd be the smart move.
I'm with you. I mean, they're arguably the best tag team ever, depending on like who you ask. I mean, that's like, I wouldn't even argue like against it. Would I have them as the number one? Probably not, but like, it's one of those things too, where it's like, they're on that short list of like, you say that New Day is your favorite tag team ever. You think they're the best tag team ever. I'm not gonna argue against it. Like they deserve that kind of credit. That's how good those guys are, and how much they've meant to the WWE. So, yeah, I mean, you're having a chance to have like the GOAT tag team of your company in NXT, and so I think it's huge for NXT. I'm interested in it. I think the match is going to be great, and I think it's a big win for New Day, and it'll be cool to see them with the titles if they win them, and I hope that they win them.
Andrew Thompson and I recorded an episode of Gauntlet yesterday that premieres at noon on Fightful Overbooked. We talked a lot about New Day. We looked back on Kofi Kingston's WWE title reign, which you know how that went. But we talked a lot about that, and we talked a lot about New Day. So that's at noon on Fightful Overbooked. If anybody wants to go over there, check that out. Please go over there, check that out. Leave us a thumbs up and subscribe to that channel. Let's go to our other spotlight, Stephen Jensen.
Our product is what it is. We're going straight up the middle.
Ring of Honor Final Battle is on Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, an afternoon time slot, so it doesn't compete directly against NXT Deadline. And last night we learned that FTR and the Briscoes will run it back one more time in a double dog collar match. What do you think of this match, Jensen?
On one hand, I'm stoked for, because it's going to be awesome. Two of the best tag teams in the world, different type of stipulation. I'm all for this match. The downsides are that the Briscoes can't be on AEW television, so like it's weird that they have to use like the Gun Club to like or the Ass Boys to like to basically fill in for the Briscoes. And the only other downside here is like it sounds like I'm complaining because I'm not, because I really like this matchup. I think it's gonna be awesome. But I mean, there's other tag teams too in Ring of Honor. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just one of those things where like, and maybe this isn't the right exact time to do this, but the thing that's been in the back of my head for a while with FTR being the ROH tag team champions is, I mean, you got JD Drake and Anthony Henry like right there at your disposal. If you're AEW / ROH, the Workhorsemen, I think that's a perfect like Ring of Honor tag team title match, and it would really help get over Anthony Henry and JD Drake even more like to that audience. And FTR I think would still win that match. It's just like they're like there are other options. There's other tag teams. There's fresh matchups you can have for FTR. It just kind of feels like FTR's whole ROH title run is just like them versus the Briscoes. That said, I mean the Briscoes are arguably one of the best teams ever. You know, just like FTR is. You know, and they've been doing it even longer than FTR has. You know, so it's like I have no issue at all with like once again this is a badass matchup and it's going to. It might steal the whole show. I mean, it probably will wind up being the best match of the entire show from like at least from like a storytelling perspective and stuff. Like, but I understand like the criticisms, I guess, because I have seen a lot of people on Twitter that are like, man, hold on, what am I saying? Chi-Town Sports says, Steven, I think you're being absolutely ridiculous. They beat the Young Bucks defending those.
ROH.
With the ROH. Yeah, well, okay, but I mean, like, but you know what I mean? Like, they've gone back to the Briscoes match. Well, listen, I think the Young Bucks are the best tag team in the world. Like, just point blank, period. Like, I think, the best. So, but thank you for bringing that up, Chi-Town Sports. I do appreciate you pointing that out. But my point is more so, it feels like it's mainly been just FTR versus the Briscoes over and over again. So. But once again, like I can't stress enough, this is going to be a great matchup. I just feel like there's other teams that could like really benefit from having an ROH title match against the Briscoes on a stage like this. Sorry, against FTR or the Briscoes on a stage. Like, here's the thing, and this is where I feel like it makes a little more sense too for me to be saying this. Instead of having a match like this, which once again, badass match, I'm looking forward to it. But you could have FTR versus a team, and you could have the Briscoes against a team, and you would have had like two badass kind of like dream matches that could have gotten like even more people over, more people on the show. That'd be my only, I guess, critique of it is like, and that's just straight up apples to oranges. Like, in Chi-Town Sports mentions that it sells better than the War Horsemen. This match, 1,000,000%, the Briscoes versus FTR dog collar match sells a lot more than FTR versus the War Horsemen. I don't dispute that at all, but I'm just saying, I think everyone understands what I'm saying when I'm saying this. Like, it's there are fresh matchups for FTR with those titles, but I get the reasoning for doing Briscoes and FTR again for sure. It's going to be great.
I mean, I'm in agreement with you, honestly. Look, I think this will be probably the best match on the show. It has the potential to be another match of the year candidate. The first two matches, top tier matches, tag team, just wrestling matches in general, top tier matches. This match is going to be great. I'm never not going to be excited for an FTR Briscoes match. You add dog collar, you add the intensity that's going to add overall. You kind of take them out of their element a little bit of like just not traditional tag team wrestling, which FTR has become famous for, and the Briscoes have perfected over the years, and you can just add that intense, aggressive element to it, more of the blood element to it. Like, I think it's going to be an absolutely tremendous matchup. My issue is kind of the same thing yours is like, all right, we're doing it again because it's a match pop, right? Like that's how the booking is. Like, it's a match pop. Hey, you love Briscoes and FTR, even though if we're condensing this into real life, if we're condensing this into earned, FTR's beaten them twice. And what have the Briscoes done since then to earn another match outside of just, they haven't done anything because they haven't been on television or anything like that because they can't be on AEW television. ROH doesn't have television. So you're just basically booking this match because you know that people are just going to be excited for it, which is fine. For someone like me, I like when there's just more of a story kind of to it. I watch great wrestling all day. There's a lot of just great wrestling matches out there. The story here is just, I guess the Briscoes, okay, they want their titles back. This feels like their last shot, even though 2 out of 3 falls was like sort of their last shot is what everyone kind of kept telling me. So I would have wanted more. And, FTRs, they've had these titles. They've been on television. They've been on and off television. They could have certainly done more on AEW television with these titles. I mean, we've seen a lot of stuff with ROH on AEW television. What happened to Taven and Bennett? They got signed and they were just not there.
Right.
They did like one match and then it's like, wait, they couldn't have told a story with, they were the champions before the Briscoes beat them at last year's final battle, and they never got a rematch. You could have built them up and had them on AEW television and built up to an FTR match. Like I would have been fine with that. There are other teams out there. They could have done something else. Am I going to complain about, even though it sounds like I'm complaining? At the end of the day, it's Briscoes FTR. It's going to be great.
Right.
Next week, assuming we talk about it, I'm going to praise the shit out of it. I'm probably going to call it my favorite tag team match ever. But I understand the criticisms of the match at the same time. And I have my own criticisms of just like, hey, give me just a little bit more of a story. Utilize what you do have on television. I think the Briscoes actually going to win this match because it sounds like ROH is going to have some type of TV deal. Tony Khan was strongly hinting at that. So I think ROH is going to, I don't know where it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be on a streaming service, if it's going to be on True TV, whatever it might be. I think they're going to have some type of TV deal. And I think the Briscoes are going to win the titles, and whatever deal they have, they'll be able to appear on that I truly can't imagine, and I could be completely wrong here, they're just doing this match again, just have FTR win again. Then you're just like, all right, are the Briscoes ever going to beat this team? And they've lost them 3 times this year, or kind of 4, because one was 2 out of 3 falls. Are they ever going to beat them? I think the Briscoes win on Saturday, and then we usher in the TV era of Tony Khan's ROH.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's just strange that like they can say their names on television, but like they can't show them at all and stuff. Like, listen, like I'm not like LGBTQ plus, but like I'm an ally. I consider myself an ally to like that community. Like I feel very strongly about like pro-gay marriage and everyone being treated equally and all that stuff, like big time. Have my whole life, very, very supportive. But I saw I think it was Ian Riccaboni I saw tweeting the other day, and like he's making a lot of sense. He was like, listen, like I've known these guys for decades, and the way that they treat people backstage, the no repeating the actions over time, the apologies. He's like, man, he's like, I know these guys, and like, and he's a part of that community and stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like, so it's like, I feel like it's better, like, because it's one thing for me to say this stuff, but it's something for like people that really know them or people that like are gay or bi, and stuff. And it's like that, like it's, like I feel honestly, I just kind of listen. I understand too if you feel strongly that they shouldn't be included. I understand that, but I don't know. It just kind of feels like it sucks, especially as wrestling fans, because it's like we're being like there's stuff that it would be so much better for us as fans if they were able to be a part of the show, especially building up matches like this and stuff like that. Because it's also one of those things where like they're using them prominently in Ring of Honor, so it's not like they've been like blackballed from like wrestling or from like the wrestling community, and they have a lot of support online too. Like they still have a ton of fans from like all backgrounds and stuff. So it's like it's just wild that like they can do this on Ring of Honor, but they can't on AEW. And it sounds like Tony's just as frustrated about it too, where he's like, I've been trying to get him on TV and I can't, and it's just like nothing you can do about it. So it just is what it is. I mean, it is a good lesson, and just making sure be careful with your words and your actions, because that can stick with you. But I just want to throw that out there too. Like it's a cruddy situation that like we can't because I think that's a big part of it too. I think we're talking differently about the excitement for this match too. If like the Briscoes were just on TV a few times leading into this, like that would be humongous. So this is what it is.
Be careful with your words and actions, unless you're a big enough star and you can actually get away with it. Because
true, unfortunately, yeah.
Won't go down that.
Yeah,
won't go completely down that rabbit hole. A little bit more ROH talk, since they do have the pay-per-view. Jericho and Claudio. Claudio's got to win this thing. right? Like, I don't think Moxley said they're done with the Jericho Appreciation Society. They can't have Jericho win and then Claudio join the Jericho Appreciation Society. Moxley said they're done after this week. He spoiled this match for us.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the stipulation is what makes it almost spoiled in itself. Is like, I just don't see Claudio joining the JAS and then continuing that story on, just like you said. So like, if there wasn't the stipulation of Claudio having to join the Jericho Appreciation Society, then I would probably be sticking with Jericho. But because I just don't see Claudio doing that, I don't see any need for them to continue all that. Plus, Claudio's gotten like multiple wins over Jericho, like leading into this, so like, it's totally believable that he'd tap him out again or something. So like, and that was probably, I mean, it was clearly the plan when like Claudio, beat Gresham to become the champion. I don't think there was any intention of putting the title on Jericho, but then it was like, well, we're going to try to find a new TV deal, and the best person to get like exposure and potentially get us a good deal would be, to have Jericho be the champion. Plus, it makes sense, the whole Ocho thing and him trying to, the timing was good for it, and the matches I think have been really good. I've liked Jericho's run with the Ring of Honor title a lot, honestly. But yeah, I think you're probably right. I think Claudio probably wins the title back here.
Anything else from this show? I'm looking forward to Athena and Mercedes. I'd probably put the belt on Athena. I think she's been really good with the heel run, and I think she brings a lot to ROH. Like, she brings a lot to AEW, but right now she seems a little pushed down the card in AEW with everything else going on. So ROH, she can really be a focal point in that company, and I think she'd be great as the women's champion. But anything else from this pay-per-view stick out to you?
I agree with that. I think Athena will win the women's title. And yeah, with the whole character change and like ruthless streak she's had lately, I think it'll be good. Good for her to hold that title. Gives her something to do. She's kind of lost in the mix, AEW. Daniel Garcia, Wheeler Yuta will be great. It always is. Pure championship. I don't know. Part of me almost feels like they're just gonna like clean sweep new champions. Like, because part of me thinks that they'll keep it on Garcia, but another part of me is like, I could see Yuta being more of a part like of Ring of Honor going forward. Right. So like, so I mean, I could see a scenario where like the Briscoes are the new champs, Athena's the new champ, Yuta's the new champ, Claudio's the new champ. The only one that I'm going to stick with, I don't think that they put Juice Robinson over Samoa Joe for the TV title. And then just shout out, it's cool to see Shane Taylor like back in the mix, like being on AEW TV and stuff. Him and JD Griffey versus Swerve in Our Glory. I feel like Shane Taylor Promotions are going to have to win that one because like there's like the dissension between Keith and Swerve and stuff. And yeah, we got the Embassy versus Dalton Castle and the Boys. So like, I mean, it's a solid show, and I'm sure they'll add more to it by the time the show actually starts. Is there anything else you wanted to highlight off of the show or any predictions?
I kind of think that Swerve in Our Glory will win. I understand like your point of they should have dissension and everything, but it almost feels like JD Griffey's like there to take the pinfall and everything. But it is great to see Shane Taylor. I think he's fantastic, and it seems like he's going to be part of the new ROH as well, which is great. Yeah, I don't see Joe losing, especially being the TNT champion as well. They're probably not going to have him lose. It should be a good show. A lot of great wrestlers having great wrestling matches. So it should be what. All right. So here's a question: are you closing with Claudio? Or are you closing with Briscoes and FTR?
I probably open with Claudio beating Jericho, and then I close with Briscoes beating FTR.
So kind of what they did the last show where they opened with Claudio and Gresham.
Exactly. Yeah, I know it's what they did before, but it's like I just don't think you can. Like, I think that dog collar match is going to have to go on last. So
I'm kind of in agreement with you. I think that match is just going to be so bloody and so violent that maybe you can do it in a co-main event scenario. They did it with Punk and MJF, and then they followed that with Hangman and Cole. But yeah, I think that I would open with the title match as well, and then close with the tag team title match and close with that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Your other spotlight, Stephen Jensen, was Kurt Angle saying Brock Lesnar called him and wanted to come to TNA after he left WWE, and then they didn't have the money for him. Do you buy this story? Kurt Angle says some shit. So
Man.
I want to know, first off, do you buy this story?
Shout out Kurt Angle Chicken Stacks, Bob O'Neill with the review of the century. I'll never forget that. I wanted to make this my spotlight mainly because it's something we don't have to like deep dive too much, but it's just the idea of like, if this is true, which I think it's possible. I think it's very possible that Kurt or that Brock was interested in going over there, because I mean he did New Japan and stuff, so it's like I think he was interested as long as they get the bag. But what's funny to me is like, if it is true and they decided to spend that money instead on like Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff and like all the stuff that they did with that, it's like, what a different TNA Impact Wrestling history we'd be looking at. Like, imagine they got Brock instead of Hogan and that stuff, you know? So I just wanted to bring that up just to think about, you know, just the idea of like, just to get that in your heads, everybody. Like, imagine if back in like the mid 2000s, Brock Lesnar came in. You had Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle on Impact Wrestling television, and you didn't have the whole debacle of like Hogan coming in and all the changes they made and the people they brought in and really set the company back years and years and years. Honestly, they, depending on who you ask, they still haven't recovered properly from it to this day. So like, you know, I thought it was fascinating because I don't listen. I don't know why Kurt would lie about that. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to like even, right. You know, I get he could be trying to like get his name out there. I mean, it's not like he needs to. He's Kurt Angle. He's, you know, he's already a bona fide legend. But it's, you know what I mean? I guess you know, to get some public discussion out, maybe get people to watch the podcast more or something. I don't know. But like, I believe him. I guess what I'm getting at. I think he's telling the truth. It's just funny that like that Impact Wrestling wouldn't be interested in that, but they would be interested in some of the other moves they made that were like very costly to them.
See, I don't think Angle is lying about this. I don't think he has a reason to really do it, but these guys are pro wrestlers. They don't have reason to lie about a lot of stuff, and then they just fucking do it because that's almost the nature of the business when it comes to a lot of things. I don't think it was so much of an Impact didn't want him, because why wouldn't you want Brock Lesnar? I want to know what Brock Lesnar's price was.
Right.
I want to know how much he was willing to work, because then I could see like, okay, is Brock worth it to us? And maybe he wasn't. And maybe they just thought like, he's not going to be worth it to us. And is on the dates he's going to work. And maybe he's going to come in and not care. Because I think Hogan and Bischoff and all these guys, like they came in with like good intentions of wanting to TNA to compete and Impact to compete with WWE. It's just they weren't at that point anymore, right? Brock, very notorious, especially during that time, very notorious for just like, I'll show up, whatever. I'm just going to kind of do my own shit, and you're just going to have to deal with it. And Brock is only out for Brock. And it could be a thing of like, yeah, we're not going to pay this guy $5 million to come in here. And does Brock want to work in these like smaller arenas with AJ Styles at the time, who's not really established, Christopher Daniels? I mean, they're established, but you know, they're not perceived as like big time stars, like Christopher Daniels, all these guys. Like, what's the care level Brock is going to have?
It would have mainly been like him and Angle, him and Samoa Joe. Like that would have been like the big stuff probably. And then like
would he want to work with
Angle AJ? I mean, there would have been some cool stuff that they could have done for sure. But like McGuinness when he came in, if the timing was right. I mean, like there were anyway. But the point is, no, I'm with you. And to be fair, TNA has been back then, especially in the early years, they got hosed pretty bad a few times. Like I have no idea what they paid Macho Man to come in and do like that weird thing where he like just came in and like pinned someone wearing like all black, you know, and all this like. You know, there was the thing where Hogan, I mean, eventually they did business with him. But remember, they built the whole thing with Hogan hitting Jarrett with a guitar. Yeah. And it's like, didn't lead to anything, you know. So, like, I can understand their skepticism, too, of being like, okay, yeah, we'll give, like, we don't really want to give Brock Lesnar, you know, $1 million an appearance or whatever. And, like, that's what we get out of it. Plus, like you said, like, the IWGP championship and stuff, like, he refused to return it and stuff like that. And, like, I get it. But at the same time, I just think it's fascinating if this is true, which I do think it's true, that Brock was even interested or even knew that TNA existed enough to like call Kurt and be like, hey, what's going on over there? I'm interested.
Okay.
You know?
So here's you mentioned Brock knows TNA existed. Do you think Brock just called Kurt and was like, what are you up to nowadays? Haven't seen you around in a while. And Kurt was the one who was like, well, I'm wrestling for this company, TNA, Impact Wrestling. Like, what's up? And then Brock is like, oh, are they any good? Like, do you think I could work there? Do we think Brock knew they existed, or did he just call Kurt and be like, what you up to nowadays? And Kurt had to tell him they existed.
Probably that. It's probably the latter, to be honest. I mean, that would happen to Hogan all the time, apparently, too. He'd be out there like trying to promote TNA wrestling. People are like, what's TNA wrestling? And then he stopped even promoting it. He'd go on like talk shows and stuff. And he'd be like, wrestling superstar Hulk Hogan. And he'd just like do a whole interview, never mention TNA once, or just like, this guy, like, they're giving him so much money. Like, he's ruining the company. What's going on? They're trying to compete on Mondays. This is not working good. So anyways. Yeah.
It would have been fascinating to see Brock in the smaller venue working with some of these guys. He would have gotten sick of it so quickly. Stories that would have come out of it would have been tremendous, though.
Agreed.
All right, let's move on to our indie spotlight.
I'm gonna give a big motherfucking shout out.
Big motherfucking shout out to Cold Scorpio and the Sandman at GCW Wasted Time, challenging for the GCW Tag Team Championships against Second Gear Crew sorry, I just blanked.
Los Mazizos.
Yeah, Los Mazizos.
Ciclope and Miedo Extremo.
Yes, there you go. Like the match, not much of a match or anything. It ended with like a roll up as well. Like there wasn't much to this, right? The Sandman didn't come in there until halfway. Granted, it was an 8-minute match. He was there at about the 6-minute mark. So if you're expecting this great match, no, this is not why I'm spotlighting this. I'm spotlighting this for 2 reasons. One, I love Cold Scorpio. The fact that he is still doing shit in 2022, he's still hitting a good-looking moonsault. He's dancing, having a good time out there. I love Cold Scorpio. Always been a fan of his. I love that he's still active in 2022. They should put the GCW world title on him. Sorry, Nick Gage. And 2, Sandman just still getting money in 2022. Comes out, the Enter Sandman plays. He does the beer with the fans. He just comes in there, he swings the cane a little, and then he gets the hell out of there. Like, plus, it's a good pop, right? Like, it's a good little pop for GCW.
Yeah, it was one of those things where honestly, when you sent me the spotlight, I didn't know if you sent it to me before you'd watched the match or like you just like heard this had happened, you were gonna like, or if you'd seen it and like this is why you, because I was like, this wasn't really much of a match, but but it was so it makes, I mean, especially with the SGC being involved, because they're essentially like an ECW tribute band, you know what I mean? Because it's like they come out to Walk by Pantera, and a lot of the time they have Bill Alfonso as like especially with Matthew Justice. He's with Matthew Justice a lot, even on the indies and stuff. And like, so like there's a lot of it makes sense that they would have the Second Gear Crew mixing it up with like ECW originals. And to your point, Cold Scorpio, my brother didn't know who that was like until like recently, like within like the last couple of years, just seeing him like while I'm watching him on like the indies, like current day. And my brother was like, this is like the best guy in the whole thing. He's like, how is this guy this age doing this? Because like he's seen him do like the double, like the tumbleweed and like the, like, I mean, like I always forget all the names of all the different moves he does, but like he has like a twisting moonsault and like a front flip leg drop and just a beautiful, he did a great moonsault like through a door on this match and stuff. And I can't remember if it was you or I saw someone tweeting, and I literally laughed out loud because it was as it was happening during this. Someone tweeted out like, how fucking sick must Sandman be of this song? Like, because it's just like, that's like the whole gimmick at this point. It's just like a long entrance because like he can't really do much in the ring anymore. So it's just like, although he did swing that cane around pretty good. Like when he
couldn't do much in the ring in his prime. I mean,
well,
he was just
true. But now it's just kind of like, you know, because like Matthew Justice tried to like spear him through like the door in the corner and he like barely, you know, fell into it and stuff.
He ain't taking shit.
Yeah. But, and then it was a lame, you know, finish with just like a quick roll up and stuff. But I get what GCW is going for. I don't have a problem with this kind of stuff, obviously. I think it's cool just for like the SGC and like Extremo and Cyclope and stuff all to be like involved with like Sandman. And here's the thing. Sandman, I say this about, and like I get it. It's like a nostalgia act, but like it works. Like I have no problem. It's mainly just to be there and seeing Enter Sandman with the guy, and like that's the moment. Yeah. But Too Cold Scorpio can still go. Like I'm not going to sit here and be like, Scorpio is like shouldn't be out there, or whatever. Like like you put Scorpio like in any match still, and he's gonna still be great. So yeah, the strange match, but if you're into seeing some ECW originals in GCW, it's something you probably want to check out.
I'm not saying you got to go out of your way to watch this match because it ain't much of a match. But if you got some ECW nostalgia and you like Enter Sandman and you like that atmosphere with him, then check it out. And if you like Too Cold Scorpio, who still rules, check it out.
Yes. And full circle too. We just talked about Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's UFC theme song, whenever you come out to fight, Enter Sandman.
It was. So there you go. It reminds me of just how old I am as well. It's like, fuck, Sandman is coming out here still doing this shit, looking completely washed. He's been washed for a while, but oh man, we're old.
I remember watching him wrestle in like pajama pants back in the day.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah. Very sad stuff. Yeah. Check out GCW Waste of Time. It's on Fight TV. It's on Fight Plus. You can go over to Fight Plus and get that. A lot of good shit over there. Now that they are on GCW's on Fight Plus basically every weekend. Your Indie Spotlight, Jensen. Anthony Henry defeating Adam Priest for the Action Championship at Action Bangers Only 3. I enjoyed it. I like the jump from the attack from immediately coming out of the entrance with Priest, and then brawling into the stands and everything. I really like the definitive finish of this match as well. Like Henry just like kicked him in the head a couple times, DDT, done. No back and forth shit, bunch of kickouts and everything. Henry just put his stamp on this match and winning the Action Championship. So I enjoyed this match.
Yeah, I mean this was good, and it's been an ongoing story with him and Priest, and like I like seeing Anthony Henry get this title a lot. I'm a big Adam Priest fan, but Anthony Henry has been, in my opinion, one of if not like the best guy who was like consistently wrestling on the independent scene in the Southeast for the last like decade or so. Like he's deserved his credit, and I felt bad because like him as Asher Hale in the WWE never went anywhere, and he was just there for kind of a cup of coffee, and he's really rebounded really well, and I think he'll be a big part of like ROH's future or like AEW, or at some point in the future I could see him going back to WWE and stuff. I think that guys like him, Blake Christian, Alex Zane, I think those guys could potentially wind up back in the WWE at some point in the future, and stuff. So I think that it was cool the way that they did it, because Anthony Henry basically tied Adam Priest up in the ropes, so Adam Priest couldn't get loose, couldn't move. The referee couldn't do anything about it, and Henry basically just super kicks him in the face like 5 times unanswered, just unblocked right to the dome, and then he uses Adam Priest's own finishing move, the DDT. Even yells out "Roll Tide," which is Adam Priest's thing, and so it's like the insult to injury is he beats Adam Priest with his own finishing move, 1, 2, 3. And this will for sure lead to another match. They've went back and forth a bit recently. So like, but congratulations to Anthony Henry. Like this is a guy who has meant a lot to the independent wrestling scene, especially in the Southeast, for a really long time. And the Action Wrestling Championship is one of the most prestigious titles in independent wrestling, in my opinion. So it was good to see him get this W. And Adam Priest is going to be just fine. Like he's killing it everywhere he's at. He's one of the most active wrestlers on the scene right now. Any style, Adam Priest. He can wrestle anyone. Doesn't matter what kind of wrestling they do. He'll go in there and he'll make it work and he'll make it great. And yeah, Anthony Henry deserves this. So like this was cool to see him. I'm happy to see Anthony Henry as the Action Wrestling Champion.
You can watch the match on IWTV, Independent Wrestling TV. Use the code Fight Talk over there. So yeah, it's Action Bangers Only 3. Go check that out. And again, it's in my wheelhouse of time when it comes to matches. It's like 12 minutes long. I think the pre-match stuff is also isn't like fully included in that, but yeah, I thought it was a good match, really good match. And I know you've been very high on Adam Priest for a long time, and I have known about Anthony. I think I interviewed Anthony Henry a long time ago. He's a big like UFC fan and everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. His style shows that he's very MMA based in his attacks and stuff.
He got back to me on a feature I'm working on as well. So I do have comments from Anthony Henry regarding something else that'll be posted next year. So yeah, Anthony Henry is great. Adam Priest is great. Everyone should check this match out. And I look forward to the rematch because it was so definitive and everything. Like they definitely could have like a second gear, I feel like, in the rematch or a third gear, because this one got into at least second gear. Jensen, I know you got to run. Go ahead and plug everything. Let everyone know where they can find you at.
You can find me tomorrow morning. No one even knows this yet. Tomorrow morning, Fightful Overbooked. Myself and SP3, 10 o'clock Eastern time, 10 a.m. We're going to be reviewing Mighty Ducks Game Changers Season 2. So jump on there with us. 10 o'clock tomorrow, Fightful Overbooked, me and SP3. Check out The Weekender over on FightfulSelect.com. And live rounds with myself and Doug every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, RVD Keto for Life YouTube channel. You can follow me on Twitter at FightTalk_. I'm going to clock in for the shoot job. Enjoy the interview here with Psycho Boy Fodder and Angelina Love. And I'll see y'all next time.
I got to binge watch Game Changers. I did not know. I never know what's happening on my own channel. But I did not know about this.
Well, nobody knew that. No, nobody knew. I'm literally telling you right now for the first time. SP3 had asked me like a week ago, and I couldn't confirm that I could even do it until this morning. So,
Gotcha.
So yeah, I'm just sorry. I need to keep y'all probably better in the loop for that. But I was like, I'm sure y'all are fine with me jumping on there on Friday morning. So
yeah, I don't care. Whatever you want to do, Jensen. You know I love you. All right,
Appreciate
thank you, buddy.
It. See you guys.
Everyone follow Stephen Jensen at FightTalk_. Guys, we'll head to our interview with Psycho Boy Fodder and Angelina Love. They were very gracious with their time. They were backstage at the NWA tapings on Tuesday night. So they were hanging out backstage there. We talk about the NWA. We talk about Fodder's experience at AEW. He's done some enhancement stuff. He's done some stuff on Dark, work under a mask there. Talk about Championship District Wrestling. Our guys, James and Ryan and Diamond Sheik, who joined us multiple times. They're part of Championship District Wrestling. Fodder and Angelina Love are part of that. I asked Angelina about her thoughts on what Billy Corgan had to say about EmPowerrr and not doing a second EmPowerrr show. Angelina has nearly 2 decades of wrestling experience, television experience. So she's seen it all. And she commented on what Corgan had to say about EmPowerrr too. So really good interview, really fun interview with Fodder and Angelina Love. As my internet cut out earlier, the file has disappeared, so I have to load that up. All right, here we go, everybody. Get you into the interview. Check it out. Psycho Boy Fodder, Angelina Love, here on the Creator Spotlight. Welcome back, everyone, to the Spotlight here on Fightful.com. You see below us, we have a first-time guest on the show. You heard about him last week when we were with our guys, James and Ryan and Diamond Sheik, putting over the Black Magic supplements. Psycho Boy Fodder has joined us, and behind him, may recognize the legendary Angelina Love, also there. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good, doing wonderful. Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you guys for joining us. It is much appreciated. So, I'm going to go ahead and address this. You guys are backstage at the NWA tapings right now. What's going on with the NWA? What's the we like the scoops here on Fightful, according to a lot of people. We're always digging for scoops, so I'm going to go ahead and play into that.
The only scoop I got for you is that we're doing the first live Power on January 31st in Knoxville. Yes. So I'll be there. She'll be there. EC3 will be there. It'll be a stacked card, and then I think there are more live shows in the future for NWA.
How did your NWA appearances come about? Because I know you've been on there a couple times, and as we said, you're backstage now. So how did that all come together?
So Ricky Morton pushed really hard to get me here. He's a really good friend of mine, him and Carrie. I adore both of them. They're both great guys and have supported me since I started wrestling. And when EC3 started working here, he kind of pushed to get me here. Johnny Swinger said a few good things about me to get me here. So once I came, they asked me to come to the last tapings. And when I came to the last tapings, they gave me a couple of matches and everything seemed to work out real well. And I think Billy was really happy with the work. And we're just moving forward off of that.
Yeah, I was going to ask how the experience has been for all y'all there. And I would like to know from Angelina as well, with all of her experience, like what the NWA experience has been like since you've been there.
It's great because like Velvet and I, you know, we get to work together again, which we always love. And I'm just kind of at a point in my life and career where I just like a laid back locker room, very late here. And it's cool because like when I first came here, there was like people from literally every step of my career here, like people from Deep South were here, people from Ring of Honor, people from Impact, and then NWA people. So it was like really cool to see like a lot of old friends, and then like Ring of Honor people that I had just worked with a couple months prior. And so yeah, they're busy days, the tapings that we do, but it's like working for Billy is awesome. And it's just like really good vibes back in the locker room. So that's like a big deal.
Angelina, working with Velvet again, she's been retired, but she's doing commentary and things like that. Is that something that you have interest in, either down the line or when your in-ring career is over?
Yeah, I've always said that. I don't know when that's going to be. I certainly don't want to be forever, that's for sure. But I think I just have so many years of TV experience and with the companies that I've worked for that I do want to, in time, become like an agent or like a producer backstage, help people with promos, a trainer, something like that. Because I just have a lot to be able to help with, like the future generation and stuff like that. So I feel like this business will probably be a part of my life for most of my life, as it has been already. So I think I would like to, just transition when the time is right to just doing backstage stuff for sure.
Well, yeah, I was going to piggyback off that because you being a 7-time champion, you do have a lot of experience to impart on people. Fodder, what are some things that you've learned from Angelina?
Don't do double axe handles to the back. And good. That's one of the main things. I mean, our thing. Like we watch a lot of bad wrestling. That's our favorite thing to do. So we search for bad wrestling on YouTube, and we spend about an hour every night watching bad. So we kind of art bad wrestling, and you kind of know what not to do when you get in the ring after you spend an hour a day watching really bad stuff.
I mean, we have to ask next. I mean, what are some of these? Can you give us any examples of some of your favorite stuff to watch?
I will send you a playlist that I have thoroughly entertained.
Well, there's like a rabbit hole you can, right? So, and it's very easy to go down a rabbit hole on YouTube. It just gets better and better and better.
but I mean,
I've always said,
I think just overall, before I met Angelina, I was wrestling all over and wrestling a lot of different guys. And I think it's more or less just, intent when you're doing things in matches, just different things, character work, and all of that. So, I mean, there's a lot that can be learned from her and from EC3 for that matter, man, because I've had a lot of, let's just say, TV guys that kind of mentored me from my start. I mean, I haven't been wrestling very long, man. I've been wrestling for 2 years. So all of this stuff for me has happened very, very quickly.
It says on Cage Match, and you can correct this if it's wrong, but your first match was on the Free the Narrative pay-per-view against John Skyler, and that's like a pretty big spot for someone wrestling on their first match, because the Free the Narrative stuff was during that time, was during the pandemic and everything, and EC3, like that was like a big deal, and so like that's a big spot to be in for your first match. Like, so is that true, first off, and then like how did that all come about?
So when I met EC3 before I even started wrestling. Like I met him through supplements, Black Magic and like all the different brands that I run. And he actually brought me down when he got released from WWE, when they shot that first cinematic deal that ended up on Impact. And I was the guy fighting him in that. So that was kind of like, I had been training for like maybe 8 months. And then after that, I had like a few like indie matches that were okay. I mean, I was still kind of getting my footing about myself and getting comfortable in the ring. But I would say like John Skyler was the first like true pro that I wrestled. And when I wrestled him, I kind of had that light bulb moment that goes off where you're like working a guy who's like really good and he's walking you through everything. And as he's walking you through it, you're going like, oh, like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I don't have to go super fast and I can just take my time in here and I can talk to him and he can talk to me. And I think once I had that moment with him, because Skylar is very good. Like, he's one of the best people I've ever been in the ring with. And I just think like that time working him, like he made me look like $1 million, but he taught me so much in that small 10 minutes. And a lot of like the kids that go to like the training school and stuff, like I tell them, like you get much more 10 minutes, like working like a real pro than you get in like 6 months of training. Like there's just things that you learn, like with pacing and just different things in the ring, working the crowd, that you can't get in training and doing drills and things like that.
Yeah. And speaking of, like learning and growing, I got to see both of y'all live at the Championship District Wrestling show in Atlanta recently. And there's a lot of, Nightmare Factory students that run that, and CYN's becoming a big part of that show too. What's it been like for both of y'all being a part of that? And obviously there's a big main event coming up later this month, you and EC3 taking on QT Marshall and Billy Gunn. So a lot of big stuff happening for both of y'all. And it's really cool seeing it locally here in Atlanta for me.
Yeah, I mean, District is great, man. Like I met Jameson when I was doing work for AEW. Like we've done some stuff together at AEW. Both of us have done like matches there. And then me and him actually did some stuff where we were like under a mask, like during like a JD Drake and Orange Cassidy match. That was cool. And we just kind of kept in touch. He uses black magic supplements and all of that. And when he said that he was going to start up the District Wrestling and, have, some of the bigger names on the shows and things like that. He asked me would I come down and do them, and man, I mean, they've been absolutely fantastic. I mean, I like the crowd, man, like, and it's more of like an adult environment as opposed to like lots of kids. There's nothing wrong with like doing like the family friendly wrestling shows, because I get booked on plenty of those too. But the adult shows, you can really kind of let loose and really be yourself when you're out there. So, I mean, there's obviously like, there's a little bit more language things going on. So I think overall what they're doing is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. It's
Angelina,
like, it's a really intimate setting, which is cool. Like their setup there is great. The show, Stephen, that you were at, that was the first one that I've done, because we really quickly decided that we wanted to, start working together. And that was just like the perfect place to start. And I mean, I think it worked pretty well.
Yeah, it worked great. Yeah. I wanted to ask you like how you even linked up to begin with, like just like at any level, and also deciding to work together on screen and everything.
Well, I just saw her one day and I was like, "You're mine." And, then,
and it was here at NWA.
Yeah. So that's kind of started, and I mean, we ended up dating and doing all that kind of stuff, and then we both love wrestling, so I think that we look good together. I mean, I don't want to say that like in an arrogant way, but I think like we just complement each other.
Yes, but absolutely.
It works, and I think like the Psycho Boy character, having like the Psycho Girl with the Psycho Boy really elevates the character itself, because there's so many things that you can do, and there's so many different there's a good dynamic there between both of us. When we come out and we're able to just do different things like in the match, or if we're able to do like mixed tags and different things of that nature.
Angelina, I want to get your thoughts on something that has been a big topic around the NWA, and that is EmPowerrr. They talked about, possibly doing a second one. There have been comments by Billy, and I want to be fair to him with his comments. He said he wasn't sure if there was enough TV-ready women to carry it and live up to the first EmPowerrr, which was a fantastic show. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think there are enough like TV-ready women to do a second EmPowerrr show?
I mean, I don't think Billy's wrong in anything that he says. I mean, that man's been in the entertainment business for 35 years. The most difficult entertainment business, like the music industry. And I think he's a creative genius, and he loves wrestling, and he loves women's wrestling, and he's very supportive. And he makes sure that we're all over the shows. He's always been supportive of me and my career. Like, I've known him for over 10 years. So I think when like things are like, you know, put online, maybe the headlines are a little clickbaity, you know, it's possible. Things can be taken like a certain way, but I mean, I don't think he's incorrect in saying that at all, because it is a big deal to carry a pay-per-view like that and be TV ready. And some people are and some people aren't. And that's not insulting. You know, that's kind of how it is for everybody. And he's just a very open and honest person. That's what he was saying. And I mean, I wasn't offended by any of it at all. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff coming up for the women on the NWA shows, like next year and everything. So I'm sure that'll happen. But I mean, like, I know if I was running a show, I would want to have the best people possible. And if you just don't have enough of the best people possible, then maybe you got to postpone it, put it off, get something figured out, whatever. And I think it's fine.
I appreciate your comments on that, because
Yeah, absolutely.
you've been around the business, and you've seen everything there is to see, I feel like, and now you're there. And so, you know, someone who is there and actually working with NWA, I don't think we've heard enough of a female perspective of some people, the females who are there at NWA. So I do appreciate your thoughts on that. Psycho Boy, AEW, you said you've done stuff under the hood. You worked Dark Elevation. Yeah, yep. Very early in your career, just a few matches. How did you get in contact with AEW to work some Dark Elevation?
Sean reached out to me. We did the when me and EC3 and Adam, or Braun Strowman, and Weston Blake did the run-in at the Ring of Honor Final Battle pay-per-view. That day is when AEW contacted me about coming in to do like the Elevation and, you know, different ones like that. And we done some matches there, and, you know, all the brothers are really cool there. There's like I think there's like a 6-man tag we worked with, like Dark Order, that was really good. And I think, like, I mean, like, from my experience there, like, everybody's like very nice, and everybody's like has always like treated me very well. And, you know, I mean, I have many friends that work over there. So, I mean, I think it's great.
Did you get any advice that stuck with you through doing stuff with AEW? Because we talked to some people here on the show that say, you know, like Christopher Daniels or some people in the back will sometimes give you some pretty you know, valuable feedback after those kind of matches.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know if I got like a bunch of feedback like after the match, but like I spent a lot of time with Jerry Lynn there, and, you know, Jerry was very nice to me, and he gave me just tons of advice on, you know, there's like a big difference in working wrestling, like when we're doing something like District, even though like at District there's cameras and you're working for cameras, you have much more time than there to tell stories than you do on television. And one thing Jerry kind of told me was, like, you know, register like what's happening on TV, but, you know, you got to keep moving, man, because it's all about keeping times and making sure that you're doing, you know, what the boss says, or what they want. And I think just kind of learning like those things, like from him, you know, not like killing yourself, like when you make a mistake, or just different things like that I'm like prone to like beating myself up about, you know, early on is, you know, I like to have great matches. And, you know, if we have things like laid out in the match and like something goes like awry, or, you know, things like that, like I have bad OCD, so it drives me absolutely crazy after the match, and then for probably many days after that.
We're perfectionists in a business where you can't be perfect, and it makes us all mental.
Very fair.
That seems to be an answer from the absolute best wrestlers, I will say, is they want everything to be perfect. And yes, you're going to get nitpicked on any little thing. And I can see how that would be very annoying. I want to ask, I don't know your musical taste with a name of like Psycho Boy. I can take a guess at them. Did you talk? Oh, really? Okay. All right. Well, did you talk music with Jerry Lynn? Because I know he's a big metal guy, but if you're not a metal guy, I don't think you would talk music with Jerry Lynn.
No, me and Jerry did not talk any music, but I listen to a lot of 1980s music, so you would probably be surprised at like what's in my playlist. I mean,
I was.
There's lots of Madonna. There's
wow.
Dude, I love 90s alternative too.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're here with that.
Yeah. Matchbox 20.
Good shit there.
Die Blind. I mean, there's so many like great 90s bands. But I think the Isley Brothers are like my favorite artists of all time.
So Madonna completely threw me off. I respect it. As a Taylor Swift fan, I respect that you listen to Madonna. 90s alternative can obviously get down to that any day. But yeah, with Psycho, I admit I was going to stereotype the Psycho Boy name and be like, all right, you're just probably into metal music. So very good.
You would think that his taste in music would be like his entrance music, because his entrance music.
Right.
Yeah. Tommy, by the way, Tommy Tanks composed that entrance music, which is completely original. And he's done so much, like for like the Free the Narrative series that we did, and many of like the entrances, like, for the Control Your Narrative stuff, like on like the cinematic like pay-per-views and things that we were doing. He composed those completely, and they are absolutely awesome. Like I'll send you a link just to the soundtrack so you can listen to it like on iTunes, but it's absolutely fantastic, man. So if you see me in the gym and you see like a big jacked up dude with like a body full of tattoos, I'm sure you would not expect to hear like Madonna, like Holiday, like playing in my ear, but it likely is when I'm in the, gym hitting 3 plates on the bench or something like that. So I don't know. It's just, that's what I like.
Yeah, we talked to Richard King the other week, and he was telling us that he likes to listen to Fantasy by Mariah Carey when he works out. He's like, you would never expect it, but it pumps me up. It is a great song. And speaking of great, Yourself or Someone Like You by Matchbox 20 is one of my favorite albums ever. Like, I grew up in the 90s. That's top tier. Speaking of favorites, do y'all have well, I'd like to know, just I believe Angelina, I've heard over the years you're a big Shawn Michaels fan. Psycho Boy, did you have any like big influences in wrestling before getting into it? And I also wanted to ask if, I know I'm sure you have a lot of dream matches, of course we're in the heart shirt. But if you, I'm sure you have plenty of dream matches. And Angelina, is there anyone like still out there that you haven't, gotten to work with that you really want to?
For me, I mean, Bret Hart is the best wrestler that ever lived, that's ever done it, man. And if I had to pick like a couple of guys that I'd just like to work that are still working now, like I want to work Matt Hardy because Matt Hardy's from my backyard. I would love to work Jeff Jarrett. I think Jarrett is absolutely awesome. I mean, if you go back and watch some of those like 96 like Jarrett matches from like WWF Superstars, like there's one match where he's working Shawn Michaels, man, and it's just absolutely fantastic, man. I mean, the guy is such a great worker. I think those two are probably at like the top of my list for guys that I would love to work.
I feel like I've worked a lot of the girls that I could have said. Like, I know when I got released from WWE in 2007, I said that I had really wanted to work Victoria. But then I was her first program when she came into TNA as Tara. So got to do that. So, I mean, I just always say Trish, because I think that would be a banger.
There you go. And also just wanted to bring up just really quickly, kind of full circle in a way. Daddy Ass, of course, going to be in the main event against Fodder soon. I remember Cute Kip back in the day. So, I mean, I know you remember Cute Kip as well. So
yeah. Our gigantic, beautiful people, man.
Fodder, did you see the Matt Hardy Jeff Jarrett match at WrestleCade?
Yeah, I mean, we had a 6-man there, so it was me,
yeah,
EC3, Austin Aries against C.W. Anderson, Preston Quinn, and Brock Anderson with Arn Anderson in their corner. Yeah, I mean, EC3 had a spot in the Matt Hardy Jeff Jarrett match.
Well, sometimes you guys are backstage and you're doing a bunch of different other things. So that was the thing. I didn't know. I knew you were there. I knew you worked on the show. I didn't know if there was possible you were taking a shower during it for some reason. So
watch the whole deal. It's a great match.
Yeah, you're showering him with gratitude. But do you know, Fightful? Do you know what they've done to me? Do you understand?
Oh, no.
Yes. Because you, Fightful, allowed the low T IWC to cancel me based on one interview with Sean Ross Sapp. So if they actually want to hear my piece and talk to me, have Sean text me. You're doing great.
Sean's got to text me. So if he texts you, please let me know. He doesn't return my text, so I don't know.
Does it return text?
No, he's bad at that. He's bad. He just had COVID. He's on the mend.
We just saw him at WrestleCade.
Yeah,
COVID.
That's where he got it from.
Yeah, he got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Later.
I hope we don't get you canceled off this interview.
No.
You shouldn't.
No. Anybody. I don't want to get anybody canceled. I probably wrote a headline that was, didn't look good for EC3.
Yeah, for what it's worth, Jeremy here, he's the guy with the crazy headlines on Fightful. Like, if you ever see just like the headlines that look more like the Onion article headlines, like that's this guy over here. So
thanks. I gotta turn the heat on somebody else right now. Fodder, how much of a jerk is Jameson Ryan? That guy, he sucks. He's terrible.
No. Why
he's booking me. So.
Yeah.
Like say anything bad about him.
I feel like y'all have a lot of similarities, both being body guys, him being the BGU guy, you being the supplement guy. I feel like there's something maybe potentially brewing there.
Yeah, man. I mean, we both love to work out. Both like to hit the gym hard and everything. I mean, so I think just like naturally, we just kind of gravitated towards each other. Because we were just kind of into the same things.
We love Jameson. I joined Body Guy University last week, so now I'm trying to get the leader thrown under the bus here. I have the BGU mindset though. He told me.
I mean, Psycho Boy's got no problem with BGU. I mean, I might join at some point. You never know.
Well, I mean, you guys you're going into their show as Control Your Narrative and like just entering in through the back door and everything. He said you guys took out security. He was throwing you under the bus a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think he appreciates it though, man, because it makes good for the district wrestling. So if I do ever decide to join BGU, and then me and you, Jeremy, will be teammates.
I mean, I need more friends. I have too many enemies.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe me come through the back door and like beat down some people, before the show.
Well, I can't fight.
I think Jameson should know if you're going to be booking somebody with the word psycho in his name and the CYN guys, there will probably be chaos right behind. So can't be too surprising.
Right. Usually we ask people the coolest thing in their room. And I know you guys are in a locker room backstage area, but is there anything cooler there that you could just point out to be like, hey, look what is in this room?
In here?
Yes. Usually we talk to people and they're in their office or their home or something like that.
Ooh,
oh my God.
That?
What?
It's a Sting.
Sting.
And with the Sting mask and the Pistons hat on.
Mask. Yeah, Pistons hat and the Sting mask.
Yeah. Oh my God. That rules actually.
Yeah.
That is sweet. Yes.
I put that if I could.
Can you steal that?
I mean,
we also have, I don't know if you could see, we got we got baby EC3 behind us.
We got an EC3 poster. So
there you go.
There's a Flyers flag on top of it as well. That Sting thing is awesome. If that goes missing, you can blame me.
I might have to hijack it and then get with UPS and get it up to Ohio for you.
Yeah. Oh, that would be sweet. That thing rules. Before I let you go.
Ooh, a bit.
Oh, a bit.
Nice.
All these Impact
This-
throwbacks. This is great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Before I let you go, I want to give you a chance to talk about the Black Magic supplements. Let everybody know what's going on with that and how you started all that.
Sure. Black Magic, we got the best protein, we got the best pre-workout, we got the best amino acids, man. You guys send me your address and I'll send you guys some stuff to try out.
Thank you.
In the gym, whatever, or maybe if you just want to get some extra protein in and things like that, man, you guys can give it a try. Just pop me a message. You guys square it away. And just overall, man, the company's just growing, man. I mean, we got 10 flavors of the protein now. We got 7 flavors of the pre-workout. I mean, it's an awesome brand. I mean, it's for everybody. The branding is real cool, man. And, the brand is, really took off and grown since 2018, man. So, we're happy to support District Wrestling. They've supported me, man. And I think it's a growing relationship, man. So I just like how, I can intertwine like many different things like in my life to help other people as well. And really intertwine it all, together with just people that I like that do the same thing.
Guys, everybody can check out Black Magic Supplements. There's a link in the description, so go check that out. Go support. Guys, thank you for joining us today. Go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you at on social media or anywhere else.
Yep, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, at LOKEYS 910. That's at LOKEYS 910. If you want to watch tons of free matches, visit my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Boy Fodder. And
I feel like I've said this a million times. Twitter at actual A-Love and Instagram A-Love, the number 4 life 222. Facebook's private. Sorry. So Instagram, Twitter.
Thank you guys again for doing this. We really appreciate it. And guys, we'll be right back here on the Spotlight. Thank you again to Boy Fodder and Angelina Love for joining us on the Creator Spotlight discussing all things professional wrestling. NWA, their time in the NWA, AEW, NWA EmPowerrr, Championship District Wrestling. As you can follow and support, all the links are below here on the YouTube channel. Follow them on social media. Check out Black Magic Supplements. Support what they are doing. Very nice people. We appreciate them joining us here on the Creator Spotlight. And we appreciate all of you listening, tuning in, watching, however you are consuming this podcast. We appreciate it. Here in about half an hour on Fightful Overbooked, it's noon Eastern, a new episode of The Gauntlet premieres. Myself and Andrew Thompson discussing Kofi Kingston's title run, looking back on the matches that he had. We did talk about the beginning of it and the end of it, but we kind of focused on everything in between as well, which was not as memorable. And we got into all of that and how it just kind of encapsulated his entire title run. And then we had a great discussion about just New Day in general, Kofi Kingston in general. Andrew Thompson from Post Wrestling. He is the man. He is the GOAT, in my opinion. So go check that out. FightfulOverbooked.com at noon. As Stephen Jensen mentioned, broke the news to me, Mighty Ducks Game Changers review tomorrow at 10 with SP3 and with SP3 and Stephen Jensen reviewing Mighty Ducks Game Changers the next season, or the most recent season, season 2, 10 o'clock Eastern AM on FightfulOverbooked.com. New content daily over there. Go to Fightful Select, subscribe there, subscribe to Fightful Overbooked. Day after Dynamite, 3 o'clock, Will Washington, a special guest, likely myself. 3 o'clock, reviewing last night's Dynamite right here on youtube.com/Fightful. Guys, thank you again for the love and the support. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Probably talking some ROH Fallout, talking whatever's happening in the world of WWE, talking whatever's happening in the world of AEW, talking about whatever's happening in the world of professional wrestling, because we try to cover all of our bases here, and we will speak to someone in wrestling, whether it be a content creator, whether it be a wrestler, a manager, someone behind the scenes. You never know. Thank you guys for the support, the love. Follow me. Don't follow me on Twitter. I don't want any more followers. Follow Stephen Jensen on Twitter at FightTalk_. Go to Fightful, Fightful.com. Bye, everybody.